everybody, this is Heather Sides. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Spokane, Washington. I come to you live every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time. This is Lucy, my lovely assistant, and it's a good thing she's pretty because she's not very smart. Anyway, every week I bring you 3 new projects, usually cards, and we make them together so you can see how I did them so you can get some ideas. Let's take a minute here. I'm gonna find this on my big computer screen, not big computer screen, but bigger than my phone, to make sure that I can see all of your comments so that we can get some good conversation going here. So let's see what I've got going on. Okay, it's not coming up yet. Sometimes it takes a minute. I don't know why it's like this. There we go. Well, no, I think that's my previous one. What's happening here? Well, it says I'm live, so I'm just trying to get into the live myself. Let's see what we've got going on here. Bear with me. Okay, I see me now. I see me, so now I just have to figure out how to get back there. Still not there. What's going on here? As you can see, technology is not my main strength. Let's see, try this again. Okay, I'm just gonna go this way. There we go. Okay, we're good now. Sorry about that. So I did remember, however, to take my phone off of Wi-Fi before I went live tonight so that it doesn't create problems, because some of you know in the past it's created problems. So let's see. In the past it's created problems. Okay, oh good. So I've got John and Susan and Joyce. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so I want to tell you guys something new I want to start doing. You know, I always ask you to tell me, at least say hi and tell me where you're from, because I like to hear where everybody's from. So I've decided I'm going to get a map of the 50 states, and I'm going to put pins everywhere that I get somebody who watches, just because I think it'd be fun to be able to actually like see it that way. So I decided that today. So I don't have it yet, but I thought that would be really fun. And then you know, when I start to take over the world, I'll get a bigger map. I already have had a couple people from the UK, I've had a couple people from Canada, and so of course I always joke to my family that I'm an international sensation now. You know, and I always laugh because I get so excited about like my YouTube number of followers or subscribers growing. And, you know, I mean, I get the people who are like seriously successful YouTubers, you know, their followers are like or subscribers are like in the millions, right? And I'm really excited because I'm almost at 300, which actually is pretty exciting because it wasn't that long ago that I remember telling my husband how excited I was because I was at 36. So it is fun to see that grow. And I thank you guys for supporting me in that way and continuing to follow and watch my videos, whether you're watching them here live on Facebook or watching the replays here on Facebook or on YouTube. So thank you very much for your continued support. Another way that you can help, hey, welcome Marcia. Marcia's joined us, Kathy's joined us, Judy. Welcome everybody. So another way that you can help me is continuing to participate in the conversation. When there's lots of conversation going on, first of all, I like it. I think it's fun. And as I've mentioned, we're building a little bit of a community and you guys are starting to kind of get to know each other a little bit. And that is so fun for me. But when there's conversation happening, it speaks to the algorithms on Facebook and YouTube and such. It's like it creates a buzz. And then the algorithm thinks, oh, okay, people are liking this, it's buzzing. So they put it out there for more people. And so I love it when you guys participate in conversation. As an incentive to do so, every week we have a drawing. Last week I was kind of behind and I didn't get the drawing ready and I was gonna do it during the week and it didn't happen. But I do have last week's prize for this week. And then I also have this week's prize as well. How can you get the prize? Well, let me tell you, participate in conversation. You can do anything. You can be talking to one another, asking questions, offering suggestions, any of the above. Or, you know, if you want to be a little quieter and just want to sit and watch, that's okay too. But say hello and tell me where you're from. I love to hear where people are from, as I've mentioned. So doesn't matter if you're watching this live or on one of the replays, YouTube or Facebook. Still comment, say hello, tell me where you're from, and your name will go into the drawing that I will award next week with next week's prize. So that's an important part of participating in the conversation. So I have some fun cards for you guys this week. I have something on my desk right now in front of me. I'm really excited to show you guys. And then we have a couple prizes to award. So how about if we go ahead and get this camera turned around and we get started. And I do have a good Lucy story for you tonight that I'll tell you as we're making cards. This dog, I don't know. She's either gonna keep me young or make me grow old really, really fast. Not sure which it is, but I've got a good story for you that like I said, I'll tell you a little later tonight. So let's turn this around and get going. Hang on. Look at that bit of goodness in front of the camera. Right there, everybody. What do you think? You know what that is? A lot of you do. I know a lot of you do because many of you guys are demonstrators. For those of you who are not, you may or may not have heard, Stampin' Up! Is doing a color refresh this year. They do it, I guess, about every 5 or 8 years. And what that means is they retire some of the colors that have been in the line for a while, and then they bring in some new ones. Sometimes they even bring back old favorites that were retired already. So these are all the new colors that are in our core lineup of colors. Now, there are going to be 5 more new colors coming out. Those are our in colors. We have 2 sets of in colors. Every year we get a new set and they alternate. One set retires, a new set comes in for 2 years. So there's a set going out this year and a new set of 5 coming in. I don't have those yet, but you can bet I will be showing them to you as soon as I do get them. But these are the colors that are going to be new in our core lineup of colors. Let me show you really quick. So we've got Berry Burst. Isn't that pretty? I really like that color. Now, I don't know how true this is to what it actually stamps. I haven't gotten to play much yet. But this is Berry Burst. We have Azure Afternoon. We have Misty Moonlight. Some of you guys might remember this one. This one was an in color a couple of years ago. It retired and they brought it back and everybody loved this color. So I'm not surprised to see it coming back. We've got Pretty Peacock. This is another one that was an in color that everybody loved and everybody was sad to see it go. And it's back as well. Hey, Diane. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Marsha. Okay, so we have Blueberry Bushel. This one I also believe was an in color. I know it was a previous color, so I'm guessing it was an in color. And coming back, Lost Lagoon, also an in color that is making its return. I think this is going to be such a pretty color, and I really like it with colors really pretty together. We also have Pecan Pie. We have Fresh Freesia. Now, Fresh Freesia probably sounds familiar to you because it is a current in color, but it was set to retire this month. It was in the set of 5 that was going to be going out. Instead of retiring it, they put it into the main lineup of colors. Hey, Nell, welcome. Thank you for sharing, Marsha. That's another thing you guys can do that helps me a lot. If you share my video, it puts it out there. You never know who in your feed might be interested. Hey, Robin, welcome. But anyway, you never know who in your feed might be interested in watching my video, and that just helps get my name out there, and I really appreciate that. Back to our new colors, we have Lemon Lime Twist. This one also was a color a while ago. I don't know if it was an in color or if it was in the main lineup, but it has been returned. And then we have Lemon Lolly. It's so pale I couldn't read it, but I really like this. I love these really soft buttery yellows like this, so I'm excited to play with this one. And then of course my favorite, because you know I'm a pink girl, we've got Bubble Bath, and I'm really excited to play with this one. This one, let's see if I can get it open here. New pads are so hard to open sometimes. This one, I think it's more of like a baby pink. let's take a stamp and just see what happens with it. Just because I'm kind of curious to see what its true color looks like. Yeah, you can see that. It's maybe a little brighter than a baby pink, but still, I think it's a really pretty shade of pink. So I'm happy about that one. So that gives you an idea of what's up and coming, and those will be available for purchase on my website, heathersides.stampitup.net, on May, hold on. Well, all the catalog says is May. So I want to say, though, it's like May 4th or May 5th. Anybody out there know the answer to that off the top of their head? Oh, Kathy just pointed out that Berry Burst was an in color. So it looks like a lot of these colors, that have come back were in colors at one point, and people were so sad to see them go, they brought them back. Okay, so let's get on to our drawing. So 2 weeks ago, we had our fun time together, and last week, May 2nd's the date, everybody. Those will be available for purchase May 2nd. Thank you, Joyce and Susan. Anyway, I didn't do a drawing last week because I just ran out of time and it just didn't work. And so I have two this week, and I have two sets here. They both use our Eden's Garden designer series paper. There is 19 sheets in each one. Hey, Anne, welcome. You know what? We're just getting started. So good timing. So anyway, I put together these little packs. There's 19 sheets of the Eden's Garden Designer Series paper. There's some gold ribbon and some gold sequins. And the winner from 2 weeks ago was Hannah M. She watched us on YouTube. So Hannah, I don't have your mailing address. So if you want to contact me, either send me a private message on Facebook, or you can email me at stamphappenings@gmail.com. And if you want to give me your mailing address, I can get this out in the mail to you. Now, for this week, this is all the people who participated in last week's conversation or watched the replay from last week over the last 7 days. And this prize is going to Jason Laux. And Jason actually used to be a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I haven't seen him in a while. He just kind of was taking some time off, so good for him. And it's fun to see him getting back into the crafting game. Congratulations, Jason. I'm glad to see you back in action. I don't have your current. If you want to send me either an email at stamphappenings@gmail.com or a private message here on Facebook with your current address, then I'll get your prize sent out to you as well. So congratulations to both Hannah and Jason. All right, so you guys ready to make some cards? Okay, so our first card is actually very, very simple, and that's intentional. I'm really trying to, I don't want to do too simple all the time, because I know some of you are more advanced stampers and you want to see something that's a little more challenging or a little more exciting. But I also want to have some appeal, to people who might be newer stampers, but also, sometimes it's really nice to just go back to the basics. And it's funny, this card that I'm about to show you, he uses the Celebrate Sunflowers stamps, which is about to retire. I made this card last night and I really, really liked it. I looked at it again today and I liked it even more. And it's just that, last night when I looked at it, like I said, I really liked it last night, but it really deviated from my normal detail amount. And so I was like, yeah, I like that. That's kind of cool. But I still kept wanting to add things. This morning, though, given some time outside of the creating mindset, oh no, Judy says that her connection is bad tonight. Well, I do hope you'll be able to watch on the replay, Judy. We've got some fun cards for you. So I hope you'll be able to watch the replay, and I definitely hope we'll see you next week. But anyway, I looked at this card today and I like it even more. Like I said, now that I'm out of the mindset of the actual creating of it, I can really enjoy its simplicity. So this is the card. What do you think? Just very, very simple. And so we used some designer series paper on our envelope flap. That's the inside of the card. Let's go ahead and get started and make it. So we have our card base. It's your standard base, 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. Let's see, where's my bone folder? Here we go. Yeah, John, I was happy to see that too. Now, I haven't been able to talk to him or talk to anybody else to find out, just how involved he's thinking of getting. Is he getting back into Stampin' Up? Or, is he just kind of getting back into crafting? But he is so creative, and I love his style that at the very least, I hope he's getting back into doing videos and stuff, because I would love to watch more of his stuff. Okay. Yes, Kathy, when you lose your mojo, the simple cards, they're very rewarding because you can look at them and enjoy what you've done and feel like you really accomplished something. Oh, Sharon doesn't have a good connection tonight either. Is everybody having a hard time tonight? Because it looks okay on my screen, but maybe it's not you guys. Maybe it's me. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our envelope. I'm using the Very Vanilla tonight. I like to use that every now and then, and I really liked it with this color palette. So, yes, Joyce made a very good point. She says sometimes it's good to step away and see it fresh. And I absolutely, absolutely agree. Whoop, getting a little extra glue where I don't want it. This is still a fairly new bottle, which means if you look at it funny, it just starts spewing glue everywhere. Okay, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Musical interlude. Okay. Okay. And now, go ahead and put this strip on here, the strip of designer series paper. This is from our Neutrals family, and this pattern will be going away when everything retires. We'll still have designer series paper in each color family, but it'll have new patterns. Every year they do that. Okay. Sounds like everybody who knows Jason is kind of missing having him around. So hopefully he'll see this video and be encouraged to join us again. Okay, so let's see here. Trimming around the extra. And I can't remember if I said this or not, but this strip of designer series paper that I'm gluing on was 2.5 inches wide by 6 inches long. I like to use that measurement because it's just a little bit bigger than what I need, so there's not a ton of waste, but it is big enough that I don't have to worry about, lining it up exactly perfectly to ensure that I get it on there. Now I got some glue on my envelope, which happens. I do that a lot. If that happens to you, all you need to do is invest in an adhesive remover or adhesive eraser. It's this little thing. I just bought mine on Amazon for couple bucks. It's not something Stampin' Up carries, but like I said, you can get it on Amazon pretty darn cheap. So there we go. Our envelope is done. Let's take a look at the rest of our card. So let's do the inside first. I have two pieces here that are very vanilla. They're a little bit different in size. The one for the inside is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And all we're going to do is we're taking this little strip of designer series paper that matches our envelope. We're going to glue it onto our card or onto our piece of Very Vanilla. And the strip is 1/4 inch wide. Okay. So I like to leave just a little bit of my base color sticking out the bottom. Sometimes I do my strip of designer series paper all the way up to the edge, but most of the time I like to leave that little bit of a lip there. Hey, Colleen, welcome. Okay, so now I just trim off the extra. Oops, trim off all the extra. Okay, and let's go ahead and glue this to the inside of the card. You know how I feel about gluing things down as soon as I can because I will lose them if I don't. Doesn't even matter how big they are. You know, in fact, part of my funny story I have about Lucy today is because I lost her. So just you see. Oh, that's good to know. Mary says that the Dollar Tree has the glue erasers in the crafter corner. Well, that's the way to do it. Go get it for $1.25. Sorry. They raised their prices and the whole world stood still when that happened. And it makes me laugh because it's still only $1.25. Okay, so there's the inside of our card. Just nice and simple and sharp. Now for the front of the card, I've got a piece here of the very vanilla that is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And then I have a piece of crumb cake that is 5 1/4 by 4. What we're going to do is we're going to take our little sunflower. My stamps all stick together. It's kind of funny. And we also have a sentiment here that says thanks a bunch. And we are going to stamp with Knight of Navy. So, oh, another musical interlude, you guys. You guys are just getting the special treatment tonight. So I'm stamping this along the bottom, just, you know, maybe 1/2 inch or so from the bottom. Try to get it straight as best as I can. You notice I don't say get it straight. I say I get it straight as best I can. You know, which makes me laugh. It makes me think of when my kids were little and I would like drop them off at school or whatever. And as they were getting out of the car, I would always say, be a blessing. And then somewhere along the line, just being silly, instead of saying be a blessing, I started saying, don't bite anybody. So we joke about how my standards, how reality really affected my standards. And I went from saying be a blessing to simply telling them not to bite anybody. Okay, so I'm inking up my little flower here. And then I'm just doing it in the corner. Just like so. Give me a second to clean off the stamp. Stamps like this that have a lot of intricate detail take just a little bit more to clean them off. I love my Simply Chamois for cleaning off my stamps. And when the stamp is more of a smooth stamp, like what I stamped here, just wiping the stamp on the little chamois, it cleans right off. Like I said, though, these ones with a little more detail just take a little bit more TLC. But the chamois still works great. I love the chamois. And I was a die-hard, see, now I can't remember what the other one was called that we had, but it was a scrubby thing to clean your stamps. And I one day decided to give the chamois a try, and my whole world was changed, and I've never gone back. Like how dramatic I am about everything tonight? Yes, Joyce, everybody should sing. We could make it a sing-along. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and glue it down to the piece of crumb cake. Just like this. Just a tiny little margin there. But boy, that crumb cake sure pops off the navy well. Look at this, ink all over my fingers already. I can't even help myself. Goodness, Heather, you're a mess. Okay, I remind myself of that kid, Playpen. No, what was it? Pigpen, that was his name, Pigpen. In the Peanuts cartoons, you know, where he just goes outside and the dirt just all comes from Stamp and Scrub. That's what the scrubby thing was called. Like I said, I was a diehard fan too, and you'd think I'd remember. Okay, so I have 2 pieces. We're going to do a faux bow. I did one of these last week, so you might remember. And I didn't want to tie an actual bow. I just wanted it to be like a knot. And so when I do that, I like to do this trick because it lays so nice and flat. I take a little bit of tear and tape, and I'm going to tear off a little strip of it. And you could really use any kind of tape you have. I like using my tear and tape because I have it right here. Okay, so I get it, you know, right about where I'm going to want it to be height-wise on the paper. Flip it over. And now I'm just going to tape it down. Okay, that blue all over my fingers bothers me. Did you have to leave and then come back, Sharon, or are you waving goodbye? Because I know you said you were having a tough time with your connection. Okay, there we go. Oh, and now it's crooked. So we just lift it up a little bit and we fix it so it's not crooked. Don't analyze it nearly as much as I do because, well, because I overanalyze. Which is funny because, you know, by trade, I'm a financial analyst. Okay, so now I have this tiny little strip, and all I'm going to do with it is tie myself a little knot. Get it right about where I want it. Pull it tight. And then I'm going to trim the ends because they're a little bit frayed. Your paper snips work great for this. The only reason I'm not using mine, oops, it's a little crooked. The only reason I'm not using mine is mine have seen better days and I need to replace them. They're not quite as sharp. So I don't always get as good of a cut as I would like. And again, it's just because I use the heck out of them and they need to be replaced. Okay, see, there we go. All right, now we're going to go ahead and put this on our card. We're just going to glue it down. Put it on the front. I thought about putting some embellishments on it. You know, we have some really beautiful navy embellishments. We have some that are kind of the crumb cake color. In fact, they're in the same set. And I really thought about putting them on there. And then I thought, no, I'm going to be good. And I'm just going to leave it. And like I said, when I came back to it today, I loved its simplicity. So there we go. Nice and easy, right? And really, even though it's a flower, it's so simple. It could even go to a more masculine individual who might not like the girly flowers. The colors of this kind of make that a little more subtle. So anyway, I love it. Okay, let's put this aside and get moving on to card number 2. While we're making card number 2, I'll tell you my Lucy story. We're going to be using the Lovely and Lasting stamps. These are retiring at the end of the month. We're also using our Something Fancy dies. These are going to be carried over into the new annual catalog. But these are the main components of this next card. Let me show you what we're making. Oh, and we're using the Regency Park Designer Series paper, which is also retiring. And I'm kind of sad about that because I really do love it. Okay, so this card, it's kind of a fun fold, sort of. And it just opens up like this. Nice and simple. It's kind of funny. I made a card similar to this once before, and I made a really funny mistake that I'll tell you about in a second. I did that again when I was designing this card. So it just made me laugh. What I did, let me show you the card base. Okay, so here's the card base. This is actually 4 1/4 inches wide, and it is 7 1/2 inches long. Now, I don't know if you can see the score line. I scored it at 2 inches here. Now, what I did when I made my first one is I scored it at both ends. I folded the 2 pieces together, like we're going to fold this one up just like this, fold that one down. And then I put this piece on here, you know, attached it here and attached it here. Guess what that did? Well, considering that this end was folded and this end was folded, and now I had something gluing them together, the card doesn't open when you do that. And I've done that twice, you guys. So what you want to do actually is 4 1/4 by 9 inches is how I started. Then I cut 2 inches off of one end and I scored the other end at 2 inches. So that cut is really important. But anyway, yes, so this is the card we're going to make. Oops, let's take the bone folder here and just get a nice crisp edge. Okay. And let's go ahead and do our envelope. Same thing as I frequently do. We've got our strip of 2 1/2 by 6 inch Designer Series paper that matches our card. And just add a little glue here to the edge. As I mentioned, we have a lot of products retiring this week, and once they retire, they're gone, and you won't be able to get them. Well, sometimes they go to the clearance rack, but usually they don't. Most of them don't. So if you have something that you've been eyeballing that's on the retiring list, first of all, if you don't know what's on the retiring list, you can see it on my website, heathersides.stampinup.net, and make sure if there's anything on there that you don't want to let pass you by, and you can order it. A lot of those retiring items are also on sale at a really good price. Some discounts as much as 60%, you guys. So some pretty good deals there. And so this week, while where we've got those retiring things going away, this is my favorite, and this is my favorite print out of this whole pack too. I love the whole pack, but this one's my favorite. Anyway, anybody who places an order this week of $75 or more will get a free adhesive eraser from me. Okay, so trim off the extra here. Okay, I'll start telling you guys my Lucy story. So it's a beautiful day today, and I've got my back door open so Lucy could come and go as she wants because I'm working from home today. Everything's great. Well, twice I had people come to my door, my front door, and she doesn't usually go out in the front. And so when somebody comes to the front door, she always tries to make a beeline and get out there because there's a big yard out there she likes to run in. And it drives me crazy because like UPS will come and knock on my door and want me to answer it, but they haven't shut the gate. So of course the dog goes and runs out, whatever. So anyway, this had already happened once today. Then a second person came to the door and it happened again. And she got out. So, okay, so our envelope is done. I've got glue all over my envelope. I'm not quite sure how that happened. Anyway, so Lucy's running around the yard while I'm talking to the person, no big deal. And I can't get her to come in when I was done. So I come in the house to get the jar of treats to encourage her to come in, right? So I come in, I go back out. I can't find her anywhere. But my neighbor, hang on, I'll tell you in a moment where I found her. Let's work on these pieces. So this is the 2-inch piece that I cut off that's going to go down here, but is not attached so that, my card will still open. And then I have, and this is Night of Navy, by the way. Then I have 2 strips of balmy blue. These strips are 1 3/4 inches by 4 inches. And then these strips of Designer Series paper are 1 5/8 by 3 7/8. They're going to go on like that. And one of them is going to go on this blue piece, and one is going to go on that blue piece, and one's going to go on that blue piece. So let's go ahead and get those lined up. Okay, so anyway, so I go outside, can't find Lucy anywhere. Well, my house is actually a duplex. There's an upstairs unit and a downstairs unit, and the front doors are right next to each other. And you open mine and it goes upstairs, and you open the neighbors and it goes downstairs. So, neither of us has access to the other guy's place, right? So anyway, I hear some barking inside their house, their dog, but their dog barks a lot. Doesn't bother me. But their dog barks a lot, so I don't think anything of it. But their door is wide open, and I'm thinking, I bet I know what or who their dog is barking at. And at this point, I decide Lucy's probably made herself at home, just invited herself into their house. So then they were outside in the backyard. So I had to go out to the back and tell them, I'm really sorry, but I think Lucy's in your house. Now, fortunately, they really like Lucy, so they thought it was funny and they weren't upset. But I'm like, Lucy, yeah, she just invited herself to the neighbor's house. And they weren't even there. They were outside. Who does that? Well, my dog does. Okay, so I'm getting these all lined up just like this. There we go. And this one is going to go on this flap up here. So let's go ahead and put it on. There we go. Okay, now the next step, what we're going to do is this is our inside piece. And, you know, sometimes when your blade is new, which mine is, it gives you a little lip on your paper when you cut. Just take your bone folder and you can flatten it back down. There we go. Okay, so I have a couple little strips that we're going to put on the inside. A piece of balmy blue and a piece of our designer series paper. As you can see, my balmy blue is just slightly longer than what I need, and my designer series paper is way longer than what I need. Okay, so let's go ahead and put these two pieces together. Put a little bit of liquid glue on there. I like the liquid glue because it stays wet for a little bit before it gets tacky, which allows me a little wiggle room to kind of scoot stuff around if it's not lining up quite right. So let's see here. There we go. Just like that. And now I'm just going to trim off this little extra bit here. And now, where'd my glue go? Boy, it's really warm in here tonight. I'm glad to see the warmer weather coming though. This whole snow in April thing was killing me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just lay this down on here. Again, I left a little bit of the white at the bottom there, but you know, that's just a personal choice. And now let's trim off the extra. There we go. Just a little bit crooked. I may have to live with a little bit crooked. I'll put my glasses on. That might help with the crookedness that I keep having issues with. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue this to the inside of my card. Joyce, I love that. Unlips the paper. Okay, so I'm going to line this up down here. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I've got, set that aside for a minute. I've got a few more pieces, and then this card's actually done. I've got a little scrap that we're going to use for our sentiment in just a minute. And then I have these three little labels, tags, whatever you want to call them, that came out of the Something Fancy dies. And I love that it's got the three sizes. You can layer them. So let's put a little glue on here and start layering. Okay, there's number one. Number two. Trying to make sure it's relatively centered. There we go. Now here's the next step of what we're going to do. I'm going to take a little bit of tear and tape, just because I want to make sure it adheres really, really well. And I'm putting a little bit at this end and a little bit at this end. I love it. I just noticed your comment, Anne, about who does that, letting themselves into someone else's house, and you said friendly golden retrievers do. Yes, that's about right. You're right. Okay, so now I'm just gonna, now one thing you may have noticed, just seen me do is, well, you definitely saw me do it, but I took my bone folder and went over my tear and tape. What that does is it really sticks it down well on my designer series paper, but then it does something between the release tape and the adhesive itself, and it makes it so that the release tape pulls off really, really easily. Do you have to do that? No, you don't, but I like to do it because I have found it makes it a lot easier. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this piece and I'm lining it up on the bottom as if it was just folded up like that. So it looks like the card's folded, right? And now I'm just going to line this up where I want it. Make sure it looks like it's straight-ish. Let's see. Straight-ish. Ah! I got it straightish and then accidentally hit it with my fingers. And then rub where that tear and tape is. And there we have that part. So the last part we've got, oh, see, now it's not crooked. That makes me sad. I mean, it is crooked a little bit, and that makes me kind of sad. Okay, let's do this again. Okay, okay. All right, so now we're going to leave that for a moment, and we're going to do our sentiment. For the sentiment, I am taking Balmy Blue, and I have the, where are you? The little stamp, it actually says, oh, hello, and we're just going to do hello. And you can put masking tape over the O if you wanted to, or just be very careful. When it's a bigger sentiment like this, it's a little easier to just carefully apply the ink to make sure you don't get it on both sides. But you know, to be honest, we're going to do a quick little bit of fussy cutting anyway. So even if I got some from the O part, it would cut out. Okay. Okay, so now find my snips. See what I did with, what did I do with my snips? Oh, they're over here. A little tip that I gave a few weeks ago when I was, or in one of my classes or something, when I was fussy cutting words. A little tip that I gave that people seem to really like is when you're going over letters like this, if you kind of jiggle a little bit, for some reason it looks a little more natural. And because you're not trying to do a perfectly straight line, it doesn't matter that it's not perfectly straight. So remember, turn your paper, not your scissors. There we go. Now I have just a little bit here that's kind of weird that I just want to fix. There we go. And there's our little hello. I'm going to take my mini dimensionals and I'm going to put a few on the back. Oh, that's right. John's birthday was the other day. Happy belated birthday, John. Welcome, Teresa. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so just using the mini dimensionals here. With these mini ones, because I have fat little fingers, I think, I like to use my take your pick tool to get them off, and then it's easy to place them where I want without my fingers being in the way. I can see better where I'm setting them. And then I'm just getting the backs off of them in my cute little garbage can. Look at this cute little garbage can, you guys. Maybe I showed it to you before, I can't remember. It's literally a garbage can. I just think that's adorable. And it's pink, so, you know, how can you go wrong? Oh yeah, and it was like $1 on that Temu website. Okay, so I've got my little hello. I want to put it at an angle right about the middle. So there we go, card number 2. Very pretty and floral. Okay, so let's go ahead and put some stuff away here and we'll get going on card number 3. We're booking tonight, aren't we, guys? Oh yeah, because this last card does take a little bit longer. Not hard to do, it just takes a little bit longer. Okay, so we're going to use the Sweetest Cherries stamps. This one is also carrying over into the new annual catalog. And it's a fun set. There's coordinating dies, and I really like this set. And the card we're going to make is this one right here, where we're going to use a bunch of different strips to create a little bit of a background image. And this is the inside of our card. So let's go ahead and get started, because it does, like I said, take a little time to do all those strips. So to start, we've got our card base, standard card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. Okay. There we go. And let's do our little envelope. For this, I have a strip of the, I can never remember what this color's called. Melon Mambo. I always want to say Mango Melody, which is like an orangey yellow. So it's not even like they're similar colors. That's just what I want to call it for some reason. So anyway, we've got that. So let's go ahead and do our envelope really quick. And I know it looks like I'm putting a lot of glue on here, but I'm not even lifting my glue thing off of the paper. So it really isn't as much as I know it looks like on the camera. Well, that little blob right there is, but just push it in. You don't want to do too much. Too much glue will warp your paper, and it can make a mess if it squishes out everywhere, which you've also seen me do that before, haven't you? Okay, so right there, just like that. And we're going to trim it. I'm kind of sad to see these patterns on our designer series paper going away, because I really liked this year's patterns. I like both the plaid and the polka dots, and there were also stripes and little tiny flowers. Okay, so we've got our envelope done. Now here's what we're going to do. I have a piece of Melon Mambo here that it's just 1/4 of a sheet. It's 5.5 by 4 1/4. It's bigger than what I need, and that's intentional, and you'll see why in a little bit. I also have a piece here that is Coastal Cabana. It is 5 1/4 by 4. And then I also have a piece of basic white that's 5 1/4 by 4. We're not going to put it inside quite yet because what we're doing on the inside is the same thing we're going to be doing on the outside. So I've got all these little strips here. Let me show you. Lots of them, where I took our Bermuda Bay, and I took some Coastal Cabana, and I took some Melon Mambo, and I just cut all these lots and lots and lots of strips. Those are for later. Well, actually they're for now, but okay, so we have all the colors. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Melon Mambo piece, and I'm going to start gluing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my glue like this, and I'm putting a little bit of glue right there. Again, it looks like a lot. It's not, because I'm not even lifting my glue, a dispenser thing, up at all. So you're just going to start with one color and line it up right along the bottom so that you have one edge that's perfectly straight. Because you can see the strips, I cut them all so that they are a little bit of a triangular cut. So that way it's not just perfectly straight strips on the paper. So I've got that one, and now I'm going to go with this one. And I'm just going to start working myself up the piece of paper like so. And sometimes I alternate, like put the big end on the left, and then the next time I put the big end on the right. But then what happens is it ends up evening itself out, so it's straight, ends up being straight lines after all. So sometimes I do opposites, and sometimes I do the same. And I just do a little bit of glue at a time because I don't want it to dry, obviously. One tip that I did see in a workshop that I was in recently, the gal took, rather than using like the liquid glue, she took a sheet of our adhesive paper or adhesive sheets, and she laid it out over what would be the Melon Mambo piece here, and then it was all sticky, so she didn't have to use glue or anything. And I thought that was a great idea. The only thing I didn't personally care for with that technique is I do like to be able to wiggle it around a little bit, and you can't really do that with those adhesive sheets. So I decided to stick with my liquid glue. But I did think that was a very, very clever solution. And as you can see, I'm just alternating the colors. And in this case, I mean, you could mix it, match it to where it's not like I'm doing the same colors in the same order over and over and over again. You don't have to do that if you don't want to do that. I just chose to. Sometimes people will use a pack of designer series paper where all the prints are different for this particular technique. I've done that before also. But that's one thing that I liked about using this particular pack of designer series paper, in that all the prints were the same. Okay. And it comes together pretty quickly. It's, you know, what takes the most time is cutting all the little strips and laying them out like this. Okay. So when I do the lighter green here, how's everybody doing? I know this is a pretty repetitive part to have to watch. I'm trying to go quickly. And actually, it is coming together pretty quickly. Let's see. And this piece that I've used, the Melon Mambo, it coincidentally is the same color as the card. You can use any scrap paper you have lying around, actually, because it's not going to show. Come on. Ooh. Maybe get a little bit more in there. Do you like them better, Joyce? I haven't quite decided yet. And yes, Anne, this is a great way to use up your DSP, especially when you have a whole bunch of it that's about to retire. Because you know, using it up is how you are able to justify buying more. My fingertips are all gluey. Okay, let's see here. Now, as I said, this piece is quite a bit bigger than what I actually need, but, you know, I was going to do a separate piece for the inside, and it just really occurred to me, I probably won't have to, because when we trim this down, I'll be able to take the piece I've trimmed off and use it. I might need a little more glue right there. Just a teeny bit. And my little glue. Okay. Oops. Okay. So I've got all these little strips left over. Now let me show you what I was going to do, which, you know, if we have to still do it, we will. Okay. Hold on. I might have been about to lie to you. Hang on. Oh yeah. So I have this little strip that I was going to cover it the same way I did this, with a few of them, and then put it on the inside. But we may be able to take what we trim off of this piece and put it on the inside. So let's see how that works. What we're going to do now is, just so you know, this piece is a little bit sticky because I had the glue all over my fingers. So when it's all dry and the pieces I know are going to stay in place really well, I'll go over it with my glue eraser or adhesive eraser, whatever you want to call it. So now, let me move some stuff because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so I do have one end here that is absolutely flush. That's the end that we started, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start trimming this down to the size that I need it to be. And I need it to be 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. So let's start with this side. And I'm just going to trim, find where the edge of my melon mambo is. I want it to be just to the left of the channel here, just so that I'm making sure that I'm cutting in a good spot. There we go. This, you know, this could be trimmed down like this and use it on the inside of the card, like to do it, like trim it so you don't have all these weird little edges coming up, but you've just got a whole bunch of little ones. And maybe we'll do that. We'll see what we think when that time comes. How's that? Okay, so now we want to trim this side down. So let's go ahead and do 3 7/8. I must have just gotten the edge of my paper. That's kind of funny. Okay. All these little loose guys here. And now we're just going to trim this down to the 5 1/8. And see, now we have a little strip that we can put on the inside of the card. Now, because of when I cut the different edges, it won't go all the way to the edge of the white like this one does. That might be okay. We'll see. Like I said, we can make that, you know, cross that bridge when we come to it, right? Okay, now, I do not like, though, all this gluish stuff everywhere. It bugs me. I don't like how my fingers get stuck on it. I forgot to tell you guys, not last week, I don't think it was last week, I think it was the week before, was my 100th video. I was really excited about that milestone. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I have this piece of Coastal Cabana, which again is 5 1/4 by 4, and we're just going to glue this down right here onto this. I don't like how that Melon Mambo edge is kind of sticking out a little bit. So I'm going to see if I can trim it without making too much of a nuisance of myself. I'm trying to go along the edge and just cut that Melon Mambo part, not the strips at all. There we go, that's a little bit better. There. Okay, so now let's go ahead and glue this down. Colleen. You know, it's funny, when I first started doing these videos, I was doing a virtual vendor fair, and I just did like quickie little videos as part of my my way of sharing on this vendor fair thing. And then I decided, you know, I could start doing this every week on YouTube or here on Facebook. And then after a while I thought, oh, I could upload it all to YouTube. And so it grew that way. And I have really enjoyed it. I'm so glad that I started doing it. And it was one of those things, you know, there's a lot of fancy tools when it comes to doing live videos like this. Lots of fancy tools. And it's really easy to hide behind that. And instead of just doing it, saying, well, I don't have the tools to do it, or I'll do it when I have the tools. And I just said, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And you really, those tools are nice, and you can do a lot of neat things with them, but you certainly don't have to have them to do this. So if this is something that interests you to do, if you're a demonstrator, or even if there's something different that you do, a hobby that you do that you want to share with people, you know, I hate to sound like a Nike commercial, but just do it. Because the worst thing that's going to happen to you is just the anxiety of the anticipation. Once you get in there and do it, you'll find out it's nothing like all the bad things that you anticipated happening. None of them happened, and it's good. So I do encourage you to give it a whirl. I'm sorry, but this sticky stuff on here, I just have to get rid of it. It's really, really bothering me. And I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but you know how sometimes you can see the glue because it's kind of dirty or whatever? I can see it, and it's just really, really bugging me. Okay, so that's the front of our card, though. Isn't that cool, you guys? I love that, and I love these colors. So next, what we're going to do is I have this cute little tag, and we're going to use the Granny Apple Green and Melon Mambo, and we're going to stamp the little cherry. So for this, I have to laugh. This little cherry has so many pieces. Okay, because we've got the leaf and then the little veins that go in the leaf. Oh, thank you guys for all your congratulations. We have the cherry, we have the stem, and then of course we also have our sentiment, which we're going to stamp with black in a minute or so. Okay, so let's stamp our cherry first. I'm very musical tonight. Okay, and I'm just stamping it kind of down at the bottom here. Just like that. And then I'm going to put this away because this is a nice bright color that I would lay down in. Okay, do my stem. And it's not quite lined up, but that's okay because that part where the stem and the cherry meet is actually going to be covered up by a bow, so I'm okay with that. I will survive that. And put a little leaf on here. The nice thing about these photopolymer stamps is you can see where they are, so if you take a moment to pay attention, you can line things up, which is clearly what I did not do when I did my stem. And that those little veins, it's a very faint difference between the leaf and the veins, and I kind of like that because to me that seems a little more natural. But if you don't like that, if you want the veins to be a little darker, just use a little bit darker color. Okay, now we're going to just go ahead and glue this baby down. And I liked it at an angle, so I'm going to put it right there. And then I have some of my baker's twine. This came in a 3-pack that had kind of a pumpkin pie, the Coastal Cabana, and garden green, I think. And it is retiring, I believe. Okay. And on sale right now. So this is my bow jig. Again, not a Stampin' Up! Item, just something I bought. You can find bow jigs online. And I wrapped this around a couple times because I want to have a triple bow. Whoops. You little stinker. There we go. This is kind of laying sort of funny. We'll see how it hangs when I take it out though. Okay, so I've done a little triple bow. And I've got my tails nice and long still. That's fine with me. I'll trim them down after I lay this down on the card because that gives me a better perspective of where they're hanging and how short or long I want them to be. And so now I'm just fanning out the different loops of the bow. I'm going to take a glue dot, put my bow right there on the glue dot, press it in good, well, press it in well. My high school English teacher would probably cringe if she heard me say that. Okay, and now I'm just going to lay this right over the spot where the stem of the cherry and the cherry meet, which is why it doesn't matter that they didn't quite meet up as precisely as they should have. And then I'm going to trim the tails. This one's just a little long. There we go. What do you guys think? It's a little longer on this one, and I kept it a little shorter on this one. And I can't quite decide. I think maybe I like the shorter better. What do you guys think? You could give me your opinions while I get going on the next step. So the next step, I have a little bit of Coastal Cabana, just a strip. It's about a ½ inch wide, and my birthday wishes stamp. And I'm just going to stamp it right on here. Make sure I get it lined up right. A little harder to do when I can't put my big fat head right in front of the camera to make sure I've got it lined up right. Oh, see, I've got it lined up all wonky. That's okay. Flip it over and do that side. Okay, Susan and Teresa have both voted for the shorter tails. What's everybody else think? Okay, sorry if my head gets in here, guys. It's pretty exactly the stamp is pretty close to exactly ½ inch. Flip it over, do one more try. Third time's a charm, right? Sharon is saying shorter tails. Joyce is saying shorter tails. Now my B looks wonky. We're going to leave it, you guys. We're going to go with it. Clearly, anybody who expects perfection from me doesn't know me very well. Okay. All right. There we go. Just trim that down like that. And I'm going to put a few of my dimensionals on the back. The other thing you can do is don't forget that the edges of your dimensional sheet are dimensionals too. So figure out about how long I'm going to want this. Well, I think I want it just a little bit more here. Waste not, want not, right? There we go. Okay. And just tear off the backs. And I'm going to line it up right about here, I think. And then sit here and fiddle with it for an hour trying to get it perfectly straight because, you know, that's what I do. Oops. There. Yeah, I like the shorter better, I think. I think it's just cute. Okay, so let's do let's go ahead and do our glossy dots. I love these. I think they're so fun. And my take your pick tool. And we're just going to put several on here. They come in 4 different colors, 3 different sizes. So let's see. I put one medium size one there with, whoops. Come back to me. With a smaller one about there. I put a small one right here by the cherry. I put a small one down here by our sentiment. And then I put a medium one over here. For some reason, the eyeball likes odd numbers. Don't ask me why. I heard that a long time ago in a decorating thing. And it is true. For some reason, when you have an odd number, it usually flows better visually. So that's the outside of our card. Let's do the inside real quick. So we've got some options here. We can have this piece that doesn't quite, well, if we wanted it to go all the way, we could just trim this down a little bit too. That wouldn't matter too bad. We could do that. Or let's trim this down so that we know what we're looking at. Oops, it's stuck to my finger. Okay. All these little tiny pieces. Okay. So let's see what you guys think. We'll take a vote. We can either put this on here. It's kind of yucky looking. Hang on. Because it has the glue on it. Whoops. Okay. And we'll take a little bit of, there's a little bit of the pink showing here. There we go. Okay, so here's our options. We can do it like this, where we've got a little bit of a white margin around the edge, like that. Or we can use this and trim it down so that it goes all the way to the edge, like this one does. Or we can do this along the bottom. Picture that in the card like that. What do you think? So you guys start voting and thinking about it, and I'm going to go ahead and do our stamped parts, because that's going to be the same regardless of what we decide to do. And for this, I've got the word sweet and friend. So I need my melon mambo again and my black. Let's see. Okay. And then I'm going to put this away. I'm going to stamp friend in black, and I'm going to have it overlap the word sweet just a little bit. I like to do this every now and then. I just think it's kind of fun, kind of different. You want to make sure, though, that it's at the same angle as the word it's overlapping, or it looks really weird. Okay, so we've got sweet friend. Okay, let's see. We've got, everybody's voting. Good, good, good. Okay. Oh, Joyce, that's right. The new catalog will be live when I do my next video. Okay, so we've got, Teresa says bottom, Kathy says bottom, Susan says side, Marcia says bottom, Mary says side. So right now we've got 3 for bottom, 2 for side, and Joyce says bottom. So we have 4 for the bottom. So let's go ahead, we'll do the bottom. Just like that. Okay, so we'll glue this puppy on there. Put a little bit of glue along the bottom of our piece of basic white, which again, this was 5 1/4 by 4 inches. Oops. There we go. Trim off the extra here. There we go. I kind of like that. Now we'll go ahead and glue this to the inside. See, this card was really very simple. It's just time consuming because of all of the strips. And there you go. Card number 2. So those are the cards I have for you. We'll go ahead and clean up the mess that we made here and take a look at what we did, all the fun that we had tonight. If you guys had fun like I did, I like all the hearts and the thumbs up because, let's face it, it strokes my ego, but it also tells that algorithm I was talking about earlier that, hey, people like this video. Maybe we should share it with more people. So if you did have a good time tonight and enjoyed it, I'd love those hearts and thumbs up and the shares. If you share the video, that's lovely. And if you are watching on YouTube, or if you are a YouTube person, I would love it if you would go to YouTube. You can look me up by looking up Stamp Happenings and subscribe to my page. If you click on the little bell icon, then it will tell you when I upload new videos. Okay, moving stuff out of the way. So here are the cards we made. We have our cute little cherry card. And this beautiful Regency Park. And our nice, simple but elegant sunflower. What's your favorite tonight? If you want to take advantage of those items that are about to retire, and especially the sales, or you want to purchase some of the other things that I've done on here, or just need to update your own stock of goods, I would love to earn your business, and you can shop on my website at heathersides.stampinup.net. If your order is under $150, it would help me a lot if you would use that code. That's what helps me to continue to provide you with these free videos and the prizes and things like that. But if your order is over $150, please don't use the code. You'll have some free products coming to you from Stampin' Up, and I want to make sure that you are the one who receives them. As always, if you have any questions, concerns, suggestions, or just want to say hello, you can contact me at stamphappenings@gmail.com, or you can just contact me here in a private message on Facebook. So I hope you guys had a great time tonight. I know I did, and I will see you all next week, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Good night, everybody.